There's a beautiful Hawaiian teaching for forgiveness called Ho'oponopono. This ancient Hawaiian practice of forgiveness functions as a communication concept for reconciliation and a tool for restoring self-love and balance. It can work as a mantra for self-love, and it's simple. The word Ho'oponopono roughly translates to cause things to move back in balance or to make things right. It's a Zen-like concept, and in native Hawaiian language, pono means balance in the sense of life. Chanting this phrase over and over is a powerful way to cleanse the body of guilt, shame, haunting memories, ill will, or bad feelings that keep the mind fixated on negative thoughts. As a forgiveness practice, it is also deeply resonant as it penetrates our inner monologue over time. To cleanse ourselves of bad feelings, let us chant the following mantra together, about 5 times. You can close your eyes, and this is the mantra. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Let's remember that we must also forgive ourselves as we consider forgiving others. So today we're talking about forgiveness. There's a story I remember when Vladimir was about 7 or 8, and I'm not real clear, like crystal clear on that time, but he was at school for an event. It might have been soccer practice or field day. I don't remember. There were a lot of kids that were there with him. Anyway, there was an incident. Vladimir saw a boy bullying a little girl. And Vladimir has always been one not to be happy when he sees something like that happen from the time he was little. And so he saw this little boy bullying this little girl, so he went over and stepped in to ask this boy to leave this little girl alone. And from what I can remember, that boy turned his sights then on Vladimir and said no. And he pushed Vladimir, and Vladimir pushed him back. And at this point, this is when the mom noticed that something was happening. So she comes over and asks Vladimir why he pushed her son. And Vladimir explained, and she said, "Where are your parents? I want to talk to your parents." And Vladimir, in true Vladimir form, said, "My parents are not here, they're on their way, but I'm going to stand right here and wait until they get here with you." So, sure enough, when Travis got there, because Travis got there, I wasn't there. When Travis got there, Vlad came over to talk to him, so Travis went over to talk to this flustered mom, who promptly proceeded to tell Travis her version of what had happened, and then waited for Travis to do something. Travis said, "Thank you for letting me know. We'll take care of it." And then she was like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And Travis said, "Thank you. We'll take care of it." When Vladimir was alone with Travis, he explained to Travis what had happened. that this little boy was doing this to this little girl and he didn't like it, so he went over to try to help her, and that's what happened. So Travis said, I think it's great that you tried to help this little girl. Next time, let's try not to push. And that was that. And for the most part, Vlad said okay, and for the most part, he refrained from pushing others, although he never did stop standing up for others. Now, what does that have to do with forgiveness? I'll tell you. Remember when your children were little, and some of your children are still little, or when you were little, and something happened with another child where someone was negatively impacted, and you or your adult would step in and you'd play mediator, and then you'd ask your child, if they were the offender, to say I'm sorry. Once your child finally found the strength to utter the insincere words, you'd look to the other child and expect their forgiveness in the form of, it's okay, or I forgive you. Then everything seemed fine. Everyone would go about their business, and all was well in the world. Because I believe in the power of forgiveness, I've not gone through that exercise with my children, and I'll tell you why. If we are honest with ourselves, most of those interactions were more about the adults than the children. Demanding that someone apologize and then expecting the offended person to simply forgive is based in ego and optics more than real feeling. That's not to say that those interactions were all bad. They taught us a few things. Interesting lessons, some good, some maybe we could do without. One thing they taught us was that we don't have to be truly sorry for something. We just have to say we're sorry, and that's enough. The other thing they taught us is that if we say we're sorry, the other person must in turn give us forgiveness for what we've done. Those two lessons probably aren't the most uplifting. They're also based in the belief that hurts are easily fixed and people must accept apologies in another person's time, and there are no real choices in the matter. If I apologize, if you apologize, you are a good person. If you accept the apology, you are a good person. If you do not apologize, you're a bad person. And if you do not accept the apology, you're a bad person. Oh, if the world were so cut and dry. Truth is, the older you get, the less simple that is. Those interactions also taught us that when we forgive and are forgiven, we're free to move on beyond the incident and enjoy our lives. They taught us that we are not victims, and we do have the power to change our circumstance if we're willing to be vulnerable enough to forgive and be forgiven. So that's what we're talking about today. Real forgiveness and why it's so important to each of our lives. Just an interesting fact and aside. Forgiveness is mentioned at least 127 times in both the New and the Old Testament. The Greek translation of the word forgiveness and other related words appear 146 times throughout the New Testament. That said, the actual word forgive is only used 38 times in the New Testament and 89 times in the Old Testament. Just a little bit of trivia for you. Why forgiveness? And why does it need to be sincere rather than forced? I've seen relationships ruined, people thrown into sickness because they refuse to forgive. We often think that forgiveness means we condone or agree or give someone a pass. And that's very far from the truth. Forgiveness means we see and understand that another person is human, fallible, and yet worthy of grace. Forgiveness also means we're ready to move beyond the distress caused to us and continue along our life's path. I read a quote once that said, "Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die." It's a bit irrational, wouldn't you say? We'd never do that willingly, except that's what we do when we choose not to forgive another for a wrong. Here are a few reasons why we want to forgive. One, forgiveness is good to us, good for us. When we hold on and harbor unforgiveness, we hold on to bitterness, anger, mistrust of others that becomes poisonous elixir to us. Number two, forgiveness is not for the person you forgive. Forgiveness is not for the person, but for us. When we fail to forgive, we remain in the position of victim. We carry a heavy burden when we don't forgive. If we forgive, we allow ourselves to put down that burden and take back control of our lives. Choosing not to forgive means we get stuck in our past. Instead of looking forward, we're constantly looking back to harbor the feelings we felt in the past and get stuck. Unforgiveness keeps us from moving forward and keeps us from experiencing the joy we deserve. Forgiving, helps us grow. Once we forgive, we can release the thoughts that keep us busy and find that we can think beyond the hurt. We can think happy, productive thoughts and allow us to reach for our true potential. Forgiveness helps us to heal. Holding on and being unforgiving to another doesn't harm them as much as it harms you. It's like a festering wound that won't heal and becomes septic. Forgiveness is a free gift to give and to receive. Remember how I said that parents like to tell their children, "Say I'm sorry," and then expect forgiveness in the moment? It's not based in reality. In reality, forgiveness has stages. The first stage is hurt. The pain of an event needs to be felt, experienced, and processed. So when you ask a child or a person to forgive on the spot, you're asking them to forego feeling what they feel and react only to what you're feeling. The second stage is hate. We've all been there. We've been hurt, and we feel real hate for the person who harmed us. What's interesting is because we're socialized to fear what we perceive as negative emotions, we bury that hate or run from it, and we encourage others to do the same. In doing that, we don't allow the real flow of emotions necessary to get to true forgiveness. Hate is a step in the process that needs to be experienced and released. The third stage is hook. The deceptive feeling of control. Refusing to forgive provides a feeling of power. But that feeling is deceptive because it's really a cover for your own hurt and vulnerability. Revenge feels good for a time, but ultimately it doesn't work. The pain you give can never cancel the pain you have received. The final stage is heal. Releasing the pain and giving real forgiveness heals your soul. One day you'll wake up and find yourself thinking differently about the one who hurt you. You may never like or trust that person again, but the intensity of your hurt will be less. Soon you will realize you're free. Forgiveness is the road to freedom. Remember, forgiveness is not about everything being okay. It's about letting go of what happened and moving forward. No, the person does not have to know about your forgiveness. It's your process. You do what's necessary. It's about allowing yourself to move beyond and growing through the process. So the next time you're tempted to have a child say, "I'm sorry," and expect the other child to respond with on-the-spot forgiveness, think again. We all have a process we need to go through, whether it's to be truly sincere in our apology and in our forgiveness. Forgiveness is the healing elixir we all need to grow to our fullest potential.